These three letters have everybody up in arms when it comes to getting clients for your organizing business. SEO, and for good reason. If you understand search engine optimization, it can greatly increase your chances of getting your business in front of prospective clients without having to chase down friends on Facebook or pay for expensive advertising. Having your website optimized for SEO is one of the best strategies for growing your organizing business, but it can feel complicated and time-consuming and just plain overwhelming. So today's episode is a great place to start if you're looking to leverage the power of SEO for your business. And my podcast guest today is an SEO expert who works directly with professional organizers, which is great for all of us. And he's going to give us a crash course on all things search engine optimization. So buckle up, fam, grab something to take notes with, and let's get into it. Hey fam, welcome to the Speak Organized podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Summers, professional organizer, decluttering expert, and ADHD organizing specialist. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor, fam, go ahead and grab that device and look at the screen and tap the subscribe button, and that will make you an official member of the Speaker fam, which would be my honor to have you on board. If you're an Apple Podcast user, you can go ahead and leave us a rave review. We would so appreciate it. And if you're watching today's video on YouTube, don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up and tap that notification bell so that you're notified every time I post new content. Now, I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. Today's episode is a little bit in depth, and Aaron is extremely generous with all the information that he's sharing with us today. It's almost like a little mini masterclass or a lecture. So if at any point you feel overwhelmed by what you're hearing, just hit pause, take a second to write down your thoughts, maybe stretch and get some water for a minute, and then come back and continue watching. This episode lives on the podcast platform. It lives on my YouTube channel. You can come back to it and refer to it as many times as you need as you become more comfortable with these concepts. And I guarantee you that those of you listening and watching today, if you take this information really seriously, you are going to be more successful than those folks who just choose the overwhelm and decide to brush it off. So on that note, whether you're here brand new or you're somebody who's been lurking in the shadows, feeling a little bit scared to take that leap in starting your own professional organizing business, I want you to take my hand and hop off that fence and take some messy action. My mission here with I Speak Organized is to give you all the tools and resources that you need to start earning a living on your terms, doing what you love, and majorly benefiting your community. I really can't think of how it gets any better than that. So I encourage you to listen up for the next 90 seconds on the ways in which I can help you do just that. You have the opportunity to schedule an affordable consultation with me to get all of your questions answered. For real, nothing is off the table. And I would be honored to strategize with you and provide you with tons of resources during our call. I am serious about my mission to help you successfully start your own business and help you overcome any fear or doubt you have in your ability to make home organizing your new career. It was the best thing I ever did, and I would love to help you do it too. My schedule fills up quickly, so be sure to click the link in the description or the pinned comment to book your call before all of my slots are full for the month. And if you're ready to get paying clients in the door faster, you're gonna need a streamlined process to onboard your prospects. And I have taken all the guesswork out of doing that. What to ask potential clients during consultations, what to put in your agreements, getting customer reviews, and more with my signature Pro Organizer Forms pack. These are 9 done-for-you forms that are customizable in a free Canva account, and I'll even show you how to set up that account if you've never used Canva before. These forms will save you days, possibly weeks worth of work researching and drafting critical documents to run your business professionally, and they're specifically designed for our industry. All of my YouTube and podcast fam get an exclusive discount, YT Pro 8, and that will get you $8 off at checkout. Lastly, if you are totally intimidated by using social media for your business, I have a great class that you can watch on your own time called the I Speak Organized Social Media Method. It includes 5 20 to 30-minute lessons that will help you come up with endless post ideas for the most popular platforms, including easy Reels and TikTok video ideas, how to boost your following and engagement with people who actually like and share your content, how to post consistently without spending hours on social every day, with my signature content planner that you'll receive for free at the end of class, and a breakdown of all my favorite tools and software. I've made it super accessible and affordable for you. And of course, you get a bonus discount for being part of my speaker fam, ISO Social 5 at checkout. All right, speaker fam, welcome to this episode. I am super pleased to be joined by my awesome guest. This is Aaron Traub. He runs a consulting business from My Professional Organizer, and he is here to school us up on SEO. And we're going to try not to make it too intense, and he's going to get straight to the point, but hopefully give you guys a little bit more advanced understanding of what that's all about. Aaron, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate you having me.
Likewise. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to make the time and we were able to fit it in. So just as a fun little bit of background, in case you guys don't know, this is the other half of Professional Home Organizers New Orleans. And we had his girlfriend, Olivia, on the show way back in January. And so we're bringing on the other half of that business today. And he's going to give us a little bit more of a background, back end knowledge of how he works the SEO for their business. So before we get into all of that nitty-gritty stuff, can you just give me a bit of an idea of how you came to this current stage in your business and what you were doing previously to professional organizing?
Sure. So previously, I was doing a little bit more of a digital marketing type of role. I had an agency for about 6 or 7 years, and I worked with a lot of like HVAC companies, plumbers, roofers, anything that really like drove up your home in a van, home service businesses. Those are a lot of the companies that I had worked with. So I had been doing the sales and SEO campaigns for those types of businesses for about 6 or 7 years. Then now, of course, Olivia, who's been on the podcast before, she had mentioned on her podcast that she's been doing like nannying for about 10 or so years. So we found ourselves in a kind of a weird situation where we were kind of both a little burnt out, kind of both what we were doing. And, long story short, what we were doing, we were in a small apartment, and I was kind of doing some of the research stuff that I normally do for, other companies that I work with. And, we had kind of identified, that people were searching for professional organizers in our city. So that kind of sparked the whole, realm of our business. And, it started, like I said, from our little apartment where, we were just trying to figure out something. Is this a viable opportunity? And then, long story short, we set up a website, we set up Google My Business, and it's kind of gotten us where we are today. We've kind of learned the ropes as we've gone. We haven't really invested too much into, a lot of education. Definitely plan on doing so. But, it really has been just a method of, kind of learning from our own mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it speaks to the power that having good SEO gives your business. You don't really, if you have that skill, which I know you do, it can kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And then you kind of learn as you go. And I'm such a big proponent of jumping in, especially a lot of professional organizers. And I know a lot of people watching and listening to this episode today are going to be perfectionists, myself included. And that kind of stops us from moving forward when, you really should just kind of jump in. And that's something that I know you and Olivia are very passionate about. So I appreciate you reiterating that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we should, with that being said, dive in a little bit. And it's okay if it kind of goes over our heads just a bit, because I want everybody to kind of understand what this truly means and what it takes to think about SEO on a more elevated level. So tell us why you feel that it's the most important component to the success of your business with your marketing and everything else.
Sure. I honestly think there's a couple reasons. I think one probably being the most important reason is the intent. So, SEO stands for search engine optimization. So it's the practice of improving your website and other online assets so that you show up on traditional search engines. And for the most part, of course, that's going to be Google. There's other search engines, Bing and Yahoo and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, a lot of the efforts are on Google. Now, as far as like the intent, you got to think about it, because when you're doing like traditional advertising, Facebook advertising, a lot of times you're kind of advertising to cold audiences. Whereas if you're ranking properly, on the first page, and you're in a position to, of course, acquire some of that traffic from Google, when people are looking up professional organizers, you put yourself in a situation where people are actively looking for those services, and you're positioning your business in a place where, you offer those services. So the intent match there is, almost perfect, right? Somebody's looking for services and then you're the first listing that shows up. It's likely that you're going to get that, that lead or that information. So
Right.
that's definitely one big, kind of, I guess you could say like benefit to SEO is the intent is perfect. You can't really beat much of an intent when it comes to that. Now, also, another thing is, it's really a matter of you're kind of getting leads, like as you quote unquote sleep. You're not having to actively go out there and put yourself in situations where you're what you would call like outbound marketing,
Mhm.
giving cold calls, cold emails, maybe like in-person networking events. And
Mhm.
when you do get to that position where you're ranking number one or the top three, for example, you really put yourself in a situation to kind of generate leads a little bit more passively. So you're not, like I said, not having to actively go out there and get leads, because that kind of takes away a little bit, like you had mentioned, from running the day to day of your business, because you kind of have to toggle between a little bit of both, as a business owner. So with that said, I think it's a little bit more important to really focus in on SEO, just for the matter that like the intent's there, but also like if you want to generate leads over time and not necessarily have to stress too much about it, I think
Mhm.
it's a really good option to kind of position your business online, at least where most of the customers are searching. Because there's plenty of statistics out there nowadays where, how many people search for a local business. They pull out their smartphone, they go to Google, and traditionally the ones that show up the highest are the ones that get the most traffic, the most leads, and so on and so forth. But also, it's really a matter of like, you hear a lot of professional organizers talk about different advertising methods or marketing methods, and they all play some role into the overall, marketing strategy that you have, because SEO is not to be said like, SEO will never or should never be your, sole marketing avenue for that matter. But
Mhm.
what it can do is give you that free traffic over time. So like I said, you're not having to go out and, pay for ads on a click by click basis with like Yelp or Thumbtack, for example, or even Google Ads for that matter. You're not having to pay an advertising fee. So if you do, get to that position, that first ranking position, and you're able to maintain that ranking, you're able to get that free traffic and those free lead sources, you know, practically for free. Now, of course, there are some things that you have to make investments in your website and your Google My Business listing. But of course, once you achieve those and you're able to maintain those rankings, you're able to acquire that free traffic, which turns into some pretty expensive paying leads.
Absolutely. And it's almost not entirely automated, but it is automated to a degree. And the two best things that I have found as a business owner to be able to do are to outsource and automate, because
Yeah.
there are so many different things that we're responsible for maintaining. You've got, like six different hands with spinning plates on top of each one of them, and you got to keep each plate spinning. And if
Yeah.
you can have something else or someone else spinning that plate for you, the better off you're going to be, the more creative, the more present, the better of a business owner you're going to be, rather than trying to burn the candle at both ends. So, which is
I
not
agree.
always, yeah, it's not always possible to not do that at certain phases of your business, but it sounds like properly developed and nurtured SEO is a great automation tool to help you sort of stay on top in your business.
I agree. And like I said, like the intent is perfectly there. So no different than like a Google ad, but a Google ad you're having to pay for. So if you're able to get to that position, I mean, you know, we really do generate leads in our sleep. We'll wake up with a new lead and we'll go to bed with a new lead, and we got a lead at 5 o'clock in the morning. And it's, it's just, you really can't beat that.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad that you're here to kind of shed the light on that a little bit, so that people can maybe think of it as a strategy for investing. Especially if you're the type of person who doesn't, when you're doing your visibility planning and you don't really like doing the in-person marketing, you're not a
Or
vendor event type of person. Maybe you trip up on your words, or you're introverted, you're a little bit more nervous around people,
Mhm.
which really is not an issue for me, as if you couldn't tell. And I love in-person marketing and vendor events. But if you don't, this is a great alternative, um, just to know that you can still be successful in running your business and you don't have to be in everybody's face all the time.
I think that's exactly right, because I mean, to be honest, I think that's a little bit, how I kind of got into SEO. I'm a little bit more introverted in nature. I just, kind of like to be by myself and just kind of hang out by myself. And SEO was kind of that route for me. I kind of found out that I kind of enjoyed it, but it really is a great route if, well, one, because it works really well. But two, of course, like, like you said, you don't really have to put your face out there too much, unless it's like digitally. I would always recommend like real photos on a website or Google My Business listing. But of course, you don't have to like go out there and interact with people, go to networking events, which of course can be a little bit, you kind of get the feel, but it can be a
Yes.
little chaotic and it can just be a little nerve-wracking, especially if you're getting started, of course. Now, one thing I will mention when it comes to SEO is it's not necessarily like a quick game. It's not like you set up some ads and they're running kind of overnight.
Mhm.
You can get a website and a Google My Business set up overnight if you're quick at it. But of course, it doesn't really make much changes in regards to actually getting leads and getting traffic to your website, because it takes time for Google to index things and to show trust. Your website has to show a level of credibility and trust over time. And that's what Google is ultimately looking to do. They're looking to give the best possible results for their users. And the way to do that is to build a better website than the competitors, have more reviews than your competitors, have a website that's a little bit more optimized for, of course, the types of keywords that you would be going after. Kind of doing those things can really kind of position yourself in at least in a better light for your professional organizing business.
Sure. And if you were to be, let's say, well optimized with your SEO, about how long are you seeing these websites' ability to scale in rankings? How long does it take on average?
That's a good question. Now, I will tell you, every market is quite different. There are some markets that are a little bit more competitive than others, and there are some that are not competitive at all. And I've actually, like personally, I've looked at like hundreds of markets in the U.S. now, and there's 10 of them that I'd say are like really competitive. The Houstons, the Dallases, the New York, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, the smaller ones are not that competitive. Now, I
Mhm.
would say if you're looking at a less competitive market, you're probably looking at 6 months to a year.
Mhm.
Just if you're starting on a brand new website, probably going to take 6 months to a year. Now, and you could definitely get things faster if you're doing things the right way.
Mhm.
Of course, that's kind of ideally where a traditional SEO campaign kind of starts. It is a little bit of a longer process because, like I mentioned, it takes time for Google to index not only your website and your online listings, but it takes
Mhm.
Google time to index, links that are coming from other websites that are pointing to yours. So it's a long process of Google understanding, how credible your website is. And of course, is it authoritative enough to actually rank for the types of keywords that you're going after? Now, I think keywords kind of get tossed around a lot, just the phrase, keywords or key phrases and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And not to be confused with anything, but really all it is just a matter of what it is that people are searching in the actual Google search results. So I'll tell you, just based on my research, 99 times out of 100, I'd say most professional organizers' main keyword is going to be professional organizer, whatever your city is.
Mhm.
So, of course, there's things that you can rank for, like decluttering services, packing and unpacking. But for the most part, professional organizers, their most important keyword is going to be professional organizer in my city. So
Yeah.
when it comes to that, it's a matter of showcasing that on your website. And I think a lot of times what I like to say is really explain what it is that you do and where you do it and make it painfully obvious. And
Mhm.
that's a great way to not only optimize for that keyword, but also make it very relevant for people that are looking for services in that location.
Yeah, that is such a good point. I really hope everybody was paying attention because it really is that simple if you know how to do it. But it does take time. And I think for my website, it did take about a year and a half, and I didn't really know what I was doing to rank.
Sure.
I figured out a couple of tweaks here and there. So speaking of which, I'm sure this kind of freaks some people out, especially if they've been in business for a little while and they're thinking to themselves, oh crap, I didn't start out with the proper foundation. Where do I go from here? So if somebody were to just employ a few simple tweaks to their website, their Google business profile, or other listings to help improve their ranking and searchability, what would you recommend?
I'd really focus on taking a look at the Google Business Profile. It was Google My Business. I don't know if everybody knows, but they've transitioned to Google Business Profile, but
Mhm.
it's all the same. I'd really focus on that, making sure that you have your Google My Business listing completely filled out, making sure that you have the phone, address, service areas, your locations, your website URL, having your description and photos. I'd make sure that you have all of that tackled. One thing as well is I would also mention, like, it's probably best to have unique photos on your Google My Business listing, like real photos of yourself. Like if it's headshots, that's fine. If it's photos of you on the job, that's even better.
Mhm.
But having photos like that can definitely go a long way. Now, they won't necessarily help you rank, but what they will do is people will tend to gravitate towards listings or websites that showcase real people. People like to work with real people. So if you can highlight some of those, real, images of you on the job, or, stuff like that, that can make a big difference into people, clicking on your listing or clicking on your website, or just engaging with it in general. So typically the way the algorithm works is, if you can get somebody to engage with your website or engage with your Google My Business profile, what that's going to do, technically, is just tell Google that, hey, like, this person was going through our listing, they clicked on our website, they sent us a lead form, or they gave us a call. And what that's, ideally telling Google is like, hey, somebody liked this website or liked this Google My Business listing. That probably means somebody else is going to like it too. So it all plays on, just general engagement based metrics. So if you can get people to, kind of interact with what, it is that you're offering, your Google My Business and the professional organizing services that you offer, that can definitely make a big deal. Now, I also will mention on the Google My Business side of things is the reviews that you have is, I don't want to say critical, but it almost is critical, because it's just kind of the landscape of how people search for local businesses nowadays.
True.
At least for the time being. And we focus really hard on our reviews. Like, it's like, if I had to say, like, what boils down to the most part when it comes to SEO for professional organizers, if you could just tackle the review side of things, you probably wouldn't have to focus on too much more. You can definitely get nitty gritty with it, and really try to rank your website too. But if you can just rank your Google My Business for professional organizing your city, you'll probably have enough leads that you won't have enough time to fulfill them. Because it really just is a matter of, like I said, engagement. People want to work with companies that they can trust, that are credible, that have real people in them, of course. So that's a really great way to kind of at least start your traditional SEO campaign, is really focus in on the Google My Business or the Google Business profile, really filling it out, making sure that you have more reviews than the competition. So I would take a look at, if you're going to, start your SEO campaign or kind of start that kind of venture, I would go to Google, type in professional organizer, whatever city you're located in, take a look at the competition, see, what their Google listings look like, how many photos do they have, how long is their Google My Business description, do they have, more reviews than you, for example, and that'll kind of set a benchmark as to where you kind of need to be. So, you can't really expect to rank if you're not already kind of outdoing what's already out there. So there's people that are actively, or there's other professional organizers that are actively, managing their SEO campaigns, or they're paying companies to manage their SEO campaigns. So it is it is almost a competition. So you do have to take a look at what your competitors are doing, and maybe not necessarily emulate them, but also take a look at what they're doing and just, see if you can make it better. So I think, starting with real photos is an easy way to make your listings better than most professional organizers. And then, like I said, reviews, it kind of just plays on the whole engagement stuff, right? People want to work with companies that are real and legitimate and will do a good job. And if you have more reviews, that's typically going to get you the lead.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my a coaching client about that last week, because my mom is looking for horse riding lessons for one of my kids, and she was that's a whole nother story for a different time. But she was like going through all the companies, all the ranches nearby where we live. And she was like, well, this one has these reviews, and this one, the reviews are terrible. And I was like,
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily speak to, the company, but it is, people really do base the value off of, like, where they are in the listing. Like, it's easy to find. It's right there. It's like the first thing you see. And then they have like a 4.8 star review rating with like 97 reviews versus one that has like 5 reviews. Generally speaking, like, like you said earlier, I think probably off camera, the data is there. That's just what people gravitate towards. So
exactly. Yeah, there's plenty of statistics out there. You can find them anywhere. I know brightlocal.com has plenty of statistics that shows how many people search from their phones, or how many people pick businesses based on, they have more reviews versus less reviews, or higher rating versus lesser rating. But it really does make a difference.
That's great. Yeah. So let's move on just a little bit. That's a great tip, by the way. I'll put that website down in the show notes here. Sure. Top 3 pieces of advice for folks that are interested in improving their SEO. So what should they focus on to be successful, and what should they avoid, Aaron?
All right. Well, let's start with what they should avoid, because I saw this today in a Facebook group, is probably just avoid Fiverr. You're probably familiar with this. You've probably seen people mention it before.
Yeah, it's like a freelance arena for people to offer that. It's like Upwork, right?
Exactly. It's exactly like Upwork, but they just structured a little bit different, as opposed to you're not paying somebody hourly, you're paying somebody like a per project basis. Now,
Mhm.
I see a lot of professional organizers are like, I went to Fiverr and I hired some guy for SEO services, and they have no real idea what they did. They have zero idea, and they paid them $50, and right, and it's a whole mess.
Oh, I saw the post you're talking about, by the way.
It was like
Continue.
today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw that post, but it was kind of just reinforces the idea. I think if you don't know what you're doing necessarily, I'd be a little bit more careful, because there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, and you start building all kind of links from all kind of random places that aren't relevant to what you're doing. It can probably hurt your performance. Not to say like it always can, but I would just be careful. Any tips or quick hacks or anything like that, traditionally that's not going to work in SEO. SEO, like I said, is a longer game. So Fiverr, I kind of put in that whole like it's a quick hack type of deal. So I focus on probably learning a little bit more about the actual space. There's plenty of information online. I try to do it on my own website a little bit, provide some good information, but there's plenty of other resources out there. Now, of course, there's a bunch of fluff out there that I think is here or there. But one person that I would really check out, who may be a little bit more high level, is Nathan Gotch. He's a mentor of mine, and I've been a longtime follower of his. And like I said, it might be a little bit high level, but he does a really good job of breaking things down. And if you can kind of just follow and emulate what he does, even though he does it for a different industry, it will really work well for your professional organizing business, because his is all about building authority on your website, and of course doing things the right way. So I
Mhm.
would really check out Nathan Gotcha as well. But I think the two biggest things is when it comes to ranking a professional organizing website, or any website for that matter, is two things. One is relevancy. How relevant is your website to the types of keywords that you're trying to go after?
Mhm.
And two, also authoritativeness. How authoritative is your website, compared to the competitors?
Mhm.
Now, Google will break this down as basically how many links does your competitors have versus you. And when I say links, I mean backlinks, a link coming from one website pointing to your website.
Mhm.
And there's a right way and a wrong way to build links. You can go get links from spammy gambling websites that are completely unrelated to what you do. Or you can go get real links that are related to what you do, that are relevant to the professional organizing industry. So of course, there's a relevancy pyramid. You can kind of work your way from the top and go down. But if you're a professional organizer and you're trying to rank your professional organizing website, I'd probably start with other professional organizers and see if there's an opportunity to get links on their website.
Mhm.
Um, that can work really well. Of course, there are directory listings that are relevant to the organizing industry, like Find My Organizer, for example. And I will tell you that it's an opportunity to go get a free link. You can go submit your information, get that citation listing, and you can link to your website. And that's a good opportunity. It's something that you'll tackle right out of the gate. But of course, if anybody can get that link, traditionally, it's not going to hold as much weight as something that would be a little bit more challenging to get. So when I say build better backlinks, I'm looking at things that are guest posts. So you're writing on somebody else's website and you're including a link to your website. So it's a nice change off. They get an awesome piece of content. You get a link back to your website from a very relevant website. You could also get them from the media. There's a lot of local media and local newspapers, magazines that you can reach out to. A lot of times it's fairly simple in terms of how you can go about getting those links. So you can do a sponsorship opportunity where they'll include your logo on their website and they'll link back to you. You can do, paid promotions. You can do sponsored posts, things of like along that, that kind of matter. Those things will really move the needle the most. Of course, like I said, there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. But of course, building high quality, relevant backlinks coming from authoritative sources is going to be your best bet when it comes to building your website's authority. Now, I had mentioned relevancy, and I think this kind of plays into the whole keyword placement, on your actual website, or in your Google My Business profile as well. And before I say anything, you really don't want to go too spammy and do this kind of stuff. But it is a matter of, making your stuff as relevant as possible. So if you have identified a keyword, let's just say it's Dallas, for example, professional organizer Dallas, and you want to rank for that type of keyword, on your homepage or on your Google My Business profile, you would want to have some, you know, um, at least like phrasing of that type of keyword, right? It can be the exact keyword that we're talking about, but of course the synonyms to that keyword, Dallas professional organizer or professional organizing company in Dallas, those all work well, as well. So it's really a matter of keyword placement and having those keywords within the right spots without overdoing it. So one, I would recommend having probably the keyword placement in your Google My Business description, and
Mhm.
that's probably the only place I would do it on Google My Business. And then two, on your website, if you're going to be targeting let's say professional organizer Dallas, on your homepage, you would have, or at least let's start on the title tag, the actual heading that you see in the Google search results. That should have some, at least synonym to your main keyword, professional organizer Dallas. And the meta description that follows that, the little sentence underneath on the Google search results, should also have some kind of, phrasing of that professional organizer Dallas. And then also, to take it a step further, on the actual page of your website, so if you're trying to target your homepage for professional organizer Dallas, what I would do is I would have professional organizer Dallas in my H1. So that would be my heading one, the main heading that I have on my page. I would have some kind of synonym of that main keyword as my second heading on that page. And then I would have a couple more instances of that keyword throughout the content on the page without overdoing it and without being overly spammy. I want it to look very natural, but I also want to give Google and users, of course, an exact idea of what it is that I do and where I do it. So, it's a game, right? You're playing in favor of Google, but you're also playing in the eyes of, real users that are going to your website. So how can you play the game, and how can you also kind of, show that, that legitimacy that you're looking for on your website, right? Without going kind of overboard. So having those, those keyword placements on your actual pages can make a big difference, because it's just that much more relevant for what it is that you're trying to show up for. So if you can kind of tackle the stuff that's actually on the page, making sure that you have those keyword placements in the right spots, and then of course you can build links, better backlinks over time, that'll kind of set you up for the most part. Now, when it comes to SEO, there's hundreds of ranking factors, and there's plenty enough to, kind of worry yourself about. But if you can just focus on those two things, that'll make all the difference. That's kind of all we really focus on. There's plenty of little, small tweaks that you can make to your website. You can fix the design, and you can worry about the typography, but that stuff really doesn't matter. It's really just a matter of, honing in on, how relevant is my website for the keywords that I'm going after. And of course, how authoritative is my website compared to the competitors that are going after the same keywords.
Right. Yeah. That was very well explained. And I know it kind of takes a little while to wrap your brain around all of that. And it really isn't that difficult, especially if you use a plug and play platform like Squarespace or Groove or Wix, where they actually have the SEO settings set up for you, where the title tag is right there. You can customize it. I've been going through and doing that with my website, and then the same thing with the text underneath. The one thing that can be a little bit tricky, and I'll just point this out again, is adding it into the body of your website, adding those keyword phrases to make it sound natural when you're writing.
Sure.
And because you can tell when somebody hasn't had a lot of practice with that, and it sounds like really off that you added this like keyword phrase in there, and it's really obvious. So
Right.
just I know some people listening to this, their brain is probably oozing out their ears a little bit, and they're like, this sounds so crazy and difficult, but it's really not. It just takes practice. And one thing that I did when I first started with my website was I joined a blogging organizers group because it was relevant to the industry. It's a great group of people. It's just a lot of work because we were writing blog posts every single week, and then providing comments and feedback and trying to help boost backlinks and things like that. And it wasn't something that we were able to provide to each other every single week, but over time, we were able to build incredible links for each other. So I'll leave the link to that Facebook group down in the description as well, because it's a really great group of people if you like to write. So,
well, that works well, because you're getting links from organizing related websites. You really can't beat that, because it's as relevant as possible as you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a difficult thing to do. It's just kind of time consuming. You can also hire somebody to write blog posts for you that know how to do that and kind of weave it in seamlessly. So that's what I'm after these days, because Mama's not got time for that these days. So,
well, a little tidbit is, I know people have talked about this in the organizing industry here and there. It's relatively new, but if people aren't familiar with ChatGPT, I would take a look into it. Basically what it is a free AI writing tool. There is a paid version as well, but the free version does wonders. If you just need ideas to like rewrite headings or rewrite intros or meta descriptions, title tags, it can really do a great job. You just tell them, hey, like I need to write a new heading for my blog post, but it needs to include this keyword. And can you give me 10 ideas? And it'll do a really good job of giving you ideas. And it's a great way to kind of at least have somebody to bounce some ideas off of, because there's not always somebody, a lot of us are solopreneurs, and, we're working by ourselves. So it's a nice way to kind of bounce ideas off of. someone, right?
Yeah, great tip. I love that. Yeah, I just saw an ad on Facebook today for somebody who they're selling a pack of chat GB, or how do you say it? Chat GBT.
GBT.
Yeah, they sell like a pack of keywords to help you with sales and marketing. It's like use these different keyword search terms on chat GBT and it will like explode your business. And I was like, wow, this is just so
It,
next level.
it is. It definitely is next level.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to just the last couple of things here as we get prepared to wrap up. So
Sure.
this may be more geared towards people who have been in business for a year or two or three, somewhere between year 1 and 4, let's say.
Okay.
You do have to kind of pay attention. This isn't like a set and forget type of strategy. You do have to nurture it, like we sort of talked about at the beginning. And so, what are some signs that you should maybe hire an expert to help you with this if you're feeling really overwhelmed? Or if you've noticed that your website has suddenly stopped bringing in leads and you feel like you've done everything that you possibly could have done. So, what are some signs that we need to call in the big guns for help here?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think if it's taking too much of your time, away from your clients and away from the jobs, I think that's a suggestion. I think it's an opportunity to at least get some outside help. Like I had mentioned, there's really not a ton that needs to be done. You need to have a website that's set up correctly. But like I said, it's really, can you make your website relevant for the keywords that we're going after? Can you build quality links over time? So if you can find somebody that can do that for you while you're kind of managing the day-to-day, taking the phone calls, you're on the jobs, that could definitely be a big thing for you. But also like, there's quite a learning curve when it comes to SEO. And there's, like I had mentioned, there's so much fluff out there already that I think it kind of confuses people and they have a bit of paralysis by analysis by just looking at everything and not even, knowing where to start. And I think that can be a big proponent as to why people never even get started in SEO. And two, it takes a long time. So I think if you're in a situation like that, I think it's a good idea to probably get some outside help as well. You can also, there's plenty of people that offer, like you had mentioned this earlier off the call, but website audits and people that can take a look at your website and give you, at least, some recommendations that you can make on your own. And it's a little bit more of an affordable option as opposed to somebody doing it, full service. Because, like I said, there's definitely some things that can be done on a month-to-month basis when it comes to your SEO. And it does take time. And it's always a consistent game of, kind of going back and forth, because you got to think about it. There's always competitors that are looking to bring you down. So it's a matter of making sure that you can, of course, get that ranking, but also maintain it. So, if you think that's something that's going to be too much of your focus and it's not really something that's in your wheelhouse, I think it's be a good opportunity to hire an expert. But of course, when I say hire an expert, I would really vet them really well, because, or at least get somebody else you trust to, maybe message them as well, because there are a lot of people in the industry that have a laptop and they say they're an SEO expert, and that's not always the case. So I'd find somebody that's maybe done it before. They have proven results that they've done it, maybe even in the organizing space. I think that could definitely help as well. But also like just finding somebody that can not screw you over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very important. So
You see it kind of often.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because if they're working for other clients as well and they're trying to optimize for everybody, you never know. Or they may just not even know what they're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're
You
looking to
throw
make
some
a quick
dollar bills
buck.
at them, they can do anything.
That's right. Yep, I totally understand that. So, with all that being said, and just to thank you for coming on the show today, just give us a little bit of information so we can find you on your website, if you have your social media, or any other ways that we can get in touch with you and services that you provide that might
Sure.
be helpful for us.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can find me at myprofessionalorganizer.com. I put a lot of just like free information out there on my blog, SEO, website stuff, also just general stuff, tips of the trade. I try to include just what I find people that would, actively looking for, and, will, kind of give the best, at least help for them. Because I know, like, just kind of getting started, there's just so many questions. So I do try to answer those on my blog, at least when I can. And then also, I have an idea for an SEO course that I, maybe sometime in the future that I think would be, just a good asset for people, because I think I had mentioned, I think there's so much fluff out there that if somebody really broke it down, I think there'd be just a good opportunity for people to really learn, and understand how to do SEO. So give me some time, but I do plan on it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think that maybe doing a little bit of consulting in the meantime for some VOC would be helpful for you just to know what people need help with is,
Sure.
never a bad thing. So maybe people can get in touch with you for some consulting at some point as well.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to me wherever. Email is info@myprofessionalorganizer.com, or you can reach me on Facebook all the time. I try to be as helpful as possible and give away as much information as possible. So you can always reach out to me.
That's so true, you guys. Aaron, I see him posting helpful stuff in Facebook groups all the time. He really is such a great resource and obviously a very nice guy. So if you
Thank you.
guys get stuck, that's why I like to have these awesome, very knowledgeable guests on my show because I like to provide the best possible resources. And Aaron, you are definitely one of those people. Thank you
Thank
again
you.
so much for coming on the podcast today. It was a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, fam, that's going to wrap it up. I know it was a lot. You may feel a little bit overwhelmed, but that's why this episode exists in perpetuity so that you can come back, revisit it, find new things in the information so that you can move forward with this dream of growing your business. And I just want to, again, thank Aaron for coming on the podcast. You can also feel free to reach out to him. I have all the information down below in the show notes and the description of the YouTube video, how you can get in touch with him. He really is such a generous person and a wealth of knowledge, and he's always happy to share. So be sure to get in touch with him if you need a little bit of additional support with your SEO. He's your go-to guy. Don't forget to check out what I have available on my schedule at the time of filming this outro. I think I've got 2 coaching slots left for the month of July, so be sure to go ahead and snag those. Don't forget to join my free Facebook group. Head down to the description to check out all of the resources available for you. We are here to help you. We are here to be a resource for you and help you live the life that you deserve on your own terms, running your own business in this dream industry. Beyond that, I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.